As the saying goes, home is where the heart is. When Zack Birge traveled from Blanchard, Oklahoma to Rogersville, Alabama for the Rayovac FLW Series championship, he had never laid eyes on Wheeler Lake before. Because of that, he sought out water that looked familiar to him, and he found it in the snarled log jams around the Elk River Channel. The natural log jam islands formed on the flats of the Elk reminded him of his home lake, Grand Lake in Oklahoma. With a heavy dose of fall in the air, Birge did what he knows best: pull out a spinnerbait and dissect the jams, which resulted in a Rayovac championship trophy.
Whoa! Look at this! Casey, if I knew some moving music, buddy, I'd be humming it. 4 and 5. Save the best to last. Neating 12 pounds even. 5 bass limit today that weighs 19 pounds even. There's your leader. Is this your biggest win?
This is my biggest win.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2014 Rayovac FLW Series champion, Zack Birge. Let's give him a big round of applause. 47 pounds even. Your 2014 Rayovac FLW Series champion, Zack Birge. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Zack, congratulations. First of the week, a lot of guys complaining about Wheeler. It's really tough. It's really, kind of a hard place to fish. This is your first time fishing here. What do you think about Wheeler Lake?
I'm not going to lie, I was one of those guys. I was complaining. I was actually, blessed to be here, but I was kind of ready to get it over with. It was terrible practice. The last day, I ran into some fish, and it completely changed my mood, changed my game plan, changed everything. I went back to them the first day, like I said, and I only had 11 pounds, so it was kind of tough. I just didn't get any big bites, but I knew they were there. I caught quality when I found them. I went back yesterday, had a good day, and back again today, and thankfully they bit again.
This is your first top 10 in a Rayovac. You end up winning it.
Yeah, this is my second year to fish them. I fished 2 years ago, and then I took a year off, and I came back this year fishing them. I had great finishes. I've been thankful enough to every one of them that I fished, I've cashed a check, which is great. And to win this one, it just tops it off. It's awesome.
Tell me a little about, you said this reminded you of home. The way you were fishing reminds you of the way you fish back home in Oklahoma. Tell me a little bit about that.
It does. It reminds me a lot of Grand Lake back home. I do very well on Grand. I like it a lot. And when I found these fish, it was absolutely identical to a place I like to fish back at Grand. And that's the reason I found them. That's the reason I keyed in on them, and they just replenished every day.
It looked like, tell me how they were set up. You had the log jams that kind of formed little points, a channel run it by it. How deep were the ends of those logs that you were throwing the spinnerbait on?
Most of the logs, it was basically just a big sandbar, and there was little ditches running through them, so that created like log islands. And they were sitting on the sand, and 5 foot off of them, it dropped down to 20 foot. And all underneath the water was just piles and piles of logs. First couple days, I was just throwing my spinnerbaits up in the logs. Early in the morning, they had a bunch of current pulling, plus the wind, and they bit real well early. I went there this morning, and I had 3 good ones real fast. I was shocked. But throughout the day, you get another bite, about every hour you catch a good one. They just kept replenishing.
It looked like that area looked like a pretty obvious place to fish, and I know there was a lot of people in the Elk. Did you ever have anybody else that worked that area with you, or did you just have that whole stretch to yourself?
The first day I had it pretty much to myself and one other guy, and we respected each other, and we both knew we were going to fish the same stretch. We just bounced around each other. It was fine. The second day I had a lot of competition come in. There was 6 or 8 boats, and it made me leave the area. I left it and I went to another area that I saw that I didn't see anybody fish yet. Ended up culling 3 times. I caught 3 big ones back there. Today, I went in there. I was the only boat. I just milked it all day and pounded on them.
Tell us about the baits now, the spinner baits you were using, some old school magic there, and the size line, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I was throwing them on a 7'4" medium heavy Phoenix rod, and I was throwing a Lose Tournament Pro reel with 20-pound Sunline fluorocarbon. I was throwing a big spinnerbait, 3/4 ounce and 1/2 ounce with really big blades. That was the key. Everybody was coming through there throwing small baits, flipping, throwing crankbaits. And I'm not gonna lie, I did it the first time I went through there and didn't get bit. So when I went back the last day of practice, I changed it up and I did what I do back home. I put big blades on, big bait, and immediately started catching them. So.
And it looked like slow rolling was key. It looked like it was a real deliberate presentation.
Yeah, it was real slow. You had to throw it out there and slow roll it back. And when you thought you were reeling it slow enough, you had to slow it down even more.
Any thoughts on the quality of fish you were there? I didn't see you catch any little ones today. They were all big ones.
Yeah, I caught a few small ones just mixed in. I think they're just running up and down the bank, feeding on the shad. But the big fish, I could see them on the graph. They were just down there on the bottom, and every now and then they'd roll up on one of those points and feed. And you just had to be at the right place at the right time, and I was lucky enough to be there.
Magic day for you.
Awesome day. Very blessed.